these cameras have been effective over the years. I don't think we expected them to solve the issue overnight. It does take time to change behavior.
Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Welcome back to Closer Look with Michael Friscoletti. I'm Scott Sexsmith. Derek Turner producing this evening's program. I'm a little melancholy today.
Why?
Golf season ended over the weekend.
Yeah,
played my last round yesterday.
We were just talking about the Jays. You were super excited. You should be.
Well, I'm excited about that. Melancholy about golf. Yes. Really excited about the baseball.
So it's closed. The course is shut down.
That's it.
So you should live in Southern Ontario. They'd be open for another 6-8 weeks.
I hear stories of that, like down Windsor, Toronto.
Yeah.
They
don't close.
I know, it's crazy.
They close maybe at Christmas and reopen in February.
Oh, I'd love that.
Well,
my wife would love that too.
Yeah. I'm telling you. You're in the wrong city, buddy.
I am. But hey, how about them Jays?
That was quite a game last night. Quite a game.
I'm afraid to do anything different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I changed my clothes, like everything. I do not want to be responsible for jinxing this.
If you love baseball, you got to love this series. It's been a great series. It's been a great. These are two good baseball teams in different ways. And whether you love or hate the Jays are just a good team. They're a good team, man.
And you are a hater, not a lover.
I'm not a huge Jays fan, no. But as a huge baseball fan, I totally respect what they're doing. You're almost afraid of every batter that's coming up. All nine are doing damage, and they just keep. Buck Martinez keeps saying, he keeps using that line. This is the Jays all season long. We could do a drinking game with how many times Buck says that in a broadcast.
God, we'd be drunk by the second inning.
But it's, I think a lot of people at the ballpark are drunk. Watching these games. There was quite a party there. And can you imagine the party tonight, Game 7?
I can't imagine. I cannot imagine what that city is like.
Yeah,
right now.
And Guerrero, even seeing Guerrero be interviewed in the on the ballpark speakers last night, talking about he was born for this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all cliche. We talk about sports. All three of us love sports. How many times does the star player disappear in the biggest moments in whatever sport we're watching? And Vladdy has done the opposite. He's running to get to the plate. He can't wait. And he's going to do some kind of damage.
Just chomping at the bit.
He did it again last. He hit a curveball out of there. It was a it was wild. It was wild.
All right, and it's great too that there's national unity in this. It's like the entire country now has rallied behind this.
It's fascinating too because there's two Canadians. There's minus a couple. There's two Canadians on Seattle, right? Naylor and Brash, the pitcher,
right? Yeah.
So Naylor's from the Mississauga, so he's next door to the Rogers Center, right? And he's had a little cheering section there. And, I think the Globe did a profile of him the other day talking to his old coach. He was on the national team for Canada. So, talk about a guy with national pride. It's Naylor.
No kidding.
And now he's trying to do the exact opposite and crush everybody's dreams that are sitting in those stands. And then you've got Brash, a Kingston, Ontario pitcher. You can only imagine he must have cheered for the Blue Jays growing up as a kid, right? And now he's on the mound trying to end their season as well. There's a lot of great storylines to that story. So I don't think Game 7 will disappoint tonight.
It will not. Any predictions?
I think Seattle's going to win.
Really?
I do. I do think Seattle's going to win.
Interesting.
I do. I just have this. I have a feeling that Cal Raleigh's very angry.
Yeah,
and
he should be.
He has to atone for a couple of wild pitches or pass balls.
Yes, he does. A couple of
some strikeouts. And that lineup is scary too. Now they haven't shown it as consistently the series as the Jays have. It seems they're just so consistent up and down that lineup. But who's pitching for Seattle tonight?
Kirby.
And who's going for the Jays?
It is.
It's not Gossman, right?
No, everybody's a believer tonight.
Oh, Bieber, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't. Does Bieber have another great start in him? And it's another great storyline, right? The Jays made the big trade for this guy who was injured all year.
Yeah.
That he would pitch in these moments because he was a good pitcher when he's healthy.
Yeah.
And here he is. The fate of a nation.
I'm going to go on record and say 4-1 Toronto.
4-1 Toronto.
4-1 Toronto.
All right, I will say 7-3 Seattle.
7-3 Seattle. Derek?
5-2 Toronto.
5-2 Toronto.
What was yours again?
4-1
All right, here we go.
All right.
We won't tell
We'll replay this tomorrow.
That's right, and we won't say on the air how much we actually bet.
Exactly.
It's a lot of money.
8:08.
Odds
first pitch.
Yeah, odds are subject to change.
Odds are very much so, as are the results.
Sorry to cut you off.
That's okay. 8:08 first pitch on Sportsnet. Okay, let's get to speed cameras. Several protests happening around the province today. Let's see, Toronto, Vaughan, Midland, Kitchener-Waterloo, Ottawa. There was one this past weekend on Saturday. People are up in arms about Ford pulling the pin.
Yeah, this is an issue that just won't go away. We had a great discussion on our podcast a few weeks ago about it. Doug Ford says that these speed cameras are a cash grab. They're not fair. They're trying to rip people off, and we're going to get rid of them. We're going to outlaw them. And, of course, most municipalities are feeling the other way. They're saying these are causing traffic to slow down around schools. It's saving lives. And all the revenue, if there is any revenue generated, is going toward other traffic improvements.
Right.
Just on Friday, more than a dozen former police leaders wrote a letter to Ford urging him to change his mind on this. We're talking about the former chiefs of police in Peel, Halton, Niagara, Ottawa were included in that letter. And they're saying that these devices are highly effective at changing dangerous driving behaviors and reducing collisions and serious injuries at problem locations. So this issue made a lot of headlines a few weeks ago, and it seems to be one of those things that's not going to go away. Like this is the people who are against Ford's idea are not going to go down without a fight. It raises it's a great example of, the emotion versus facts, right? Mm-hmm. There's lots of research out there that says that these things do what they're supposed to do, that they lower speed, that they save lives. And then there's the other argument being the cash grab argument. But as we've talked about, you could use that argument for so many things.
Of course you could.
Why do they have OPP on the 400 highways?
Absolutely.
Is that a cash grab? No. I mean, you get frustrated.
People drive idiotically.
That's right, because I'm driving on the 400 and I see some guy going 185 weaving around me. Hopefully he gets caught on those tickets. Yeah. So, the cash grab, and we've talked about a stupid example too, but like building permits. If you want to build a deck in your yard, you've got to pay for a building permit.
Absolutely.
It's for safety reasons. It's to make sure things are done properly. Yep. You could say that's a cash grab. Man, we could spend a whole episode just talking about the taxes we pay and the things we think are a cash grab. So it'd be interesting to see if how Ford continues to approach this. Because the other thing too is, Ford's very much a law and order premier, talks all the time about tougher bail rules and tougher judges. And these are lots of chiefs of police who are saying to him, hey, Doug, this is the wrong move. So I wonder if he'll soften on this. It'll be really, really interesting to see. Seeing all those protests this morning and this open letter from the former chiefs, it's a good opportunity to revisit the discussion that we had on the podcast. It's still very relevant. We had Jack Howen, one of our reporters at the Trillium, who really dug deep into this and explained how it was working in a lot of different municipalities. We had Michael Stewart from the Canadian Automobile Association, a safety expert, talking about the research that's been done around these speed cameras. And we also had Pam Fusilli, who's the CEO of Parachute Canada, the injury prevention charity. It was a great discussion, so I think it's just a perfect time to revisit and listen to what they had to say.
Let's start with the basics, if we can, Jack. What specifically did the Ford government announce last week, and what was their motivation?
Well, the Premier announced on Thursday that he was going to ban speed cameras in municipalities. As for the motivation, this is something that he's been talking about for a little while now, floating, talking about how unfair the speed cameras are and how they're being used as what he describes as a cash grab. By cities and towns, dinging people for, breaking the speed limits, which he feels is unfair.
All right, there's lots to break down about this announcement. Jack, I want to stick with you for a second if I can. Doug Ford says he's taking action because these cameras are nothing but a cash grab for cities. Is he right?
Well, it depends on who you ask. Many cities that have implemented speed cameras, the funds that they get go largely towards paying the companies that run the speed cameras. In Guelph, for instance, Guelph today did a report on the fact that the city only keeps about 15% of the revenue, the rest going towards the company that runs them. And in a lot of cities, the revenue that they do have to play with goes to a dedicated traffic safety fund. So it's spent on things like signage, roundabouts, speed bumps, that kind of thing. So it's essentially outsourcing paying for road safety measures to speeders, as opposed to putting that on the property tax base. Not every city does that. Some cities just put them in general revenue. But the Premier last week and before has implied that that practice is widespread and that cities are making money hand over fist through this.
Pam, I see you shaking your head. Can I bring you into the conversation? When you hear about the cash grab argument, what goes through your mind?
Yeah, I just don't think it's founded in real data. As Jack said, the municipalities I've talked to, they have their expenses in running the speed cameras, and then they mostly direct the money to road safety initiatives. I mean, if you think about other fines that you pay for red light, for parking infractions, nobody's questioning those as cash grabs. Where so it's one of the tools in the toolbox, and to say that this is primarily a cash grab, I just think is totally unfounded.
It's a great point. I was going to ask a similar question to Michael. There's a lot of safety measures that cost money, whether it's police enforced speeding tickets or building permits, for example. Yeah. What do you think about that when you hear the Premier using that as the justification for the change?
I think it's really important when it comes to automated speed enforcement to remember why we got it in the first place. It was for keeping schools safe. There was municipalities were having an issue with speeding around schools. And automated speed enforcement was a tool that they were given the authority to use. And it's been there. We know through our survey data and through research from Sick Kids and Toronto Metropolitan University that these cameras have been effective over the years. I don't think we expected them to solve the issue overnight. It does take time to change behavior. And I think that's what's really important to that automated speed enforcement conversation is why they were there. They were never meant to be gotcha moments. They weren't necessarily meant to be these big revenue generators, and any revenue that did come, municipalities were going to use those funds back into road safety programs, which is what CA supported back when we were first having these conversations. So I think it's really important that kind of through a lot of this rhetoric to remember why they were there in the first place, which is road safety. And if they are going to be removed in the future, what measures are going to be implemented to make sure that our roads remain safe?
Pam, what do we know about whether these speed cameras are actually making an impact in terms of safety? Is there any evidence that speed cameras actually reduce crashes or injuries?
They definitely reduce speed. There's no question about the evidence of their effectiveness. They've been effective in Ontario, in other Canadian provinces, and internationally. So I don't think that there's an issue with the effectiveness of what this implementation or intervention does. And again, it's, as Michael said, it's one tool in the toolbox. There's lots of other things that are being done in communities that are looking at road safety. These speed cameras are not catching people 1 or 2 or 3 kilometers over the speed limit. They're, according to Brampton's mayor, the cameras are set to send out tickets for 11 kilometers over the posted limit. So 10 kilometers over. So they're not being issued for a few kilometers over. And if people are saying that, they need to check the speed limit in the zone that they were given the ticket, because that is just not the case. And we know, from the work that Parachute has done and many of our colleagues across the country that, for every 1.6 kilometer reduction in average speed, collisions are reduced by 5%. So 10 kilometers over really makes a difference. And you can see that when you look at the data that show that, a pedestrian, if they're struck at 50 kilometers an hour, are 6 times more likely to be killed than one struck at 30. So if we're talking about a 10, even 15 kilometers over, you're still looking at 4, maybe 5 times more likely to be killed if you're struck by a vehicle. So, the incremental kilometers do make a difference, but they're not being sent out for just 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9 even. It's a significant amount of speed over the posted limit. So if we're not going to adhere to posted maximum speed limits, what is the point of posting a maximum speed limit?
Good point. That's a very important point. Thanks, Pam. Jack, I'm not quizzing you here, but you did have a lot of great stats in your latest piece about how this has lowered speeds in a lot of different communities. What did you find as you poked around?
Yeah, so in the announcement, the premier was quite emphatic that the cameras are not working. They're not slowing people down. His argument was essentially that when you look at the number of tickets issued, he pointed to one camera in Toronto that issued 65,000 tickets in 3 months. He said if the cameras were working, there wouldn't be any tickets issued.
Yeah.
And while that argument is, kind of appealing on a simplistic level, when you actually look at the data, the cameras are slowing people down, definitely. There was a study from TMU and Sick Kids that found that the cameras cut speeding by 45% in school zones in Toronto. Brampton City staff found that average speeds dropped by 9 kilometers an hour in speed camera locations. In Mississauga, it was 9 kilometers an hour across the city, and 14 kilometers an hour in the camera zones. Waterloo, 15K. Essa Township saw 29% speed reduction. Yeah, I mean, the evidence is there that they do in fact work.
What do you think? Do you support the speed camera?
Well, I mean, look, I don't want to make this dumb this down, but if you break the speed limits exist for a reason, and if you break them excessively, you're rolling the dice that you're going to get caught, whether by a speed camera or by a police cruiser. I mean, that's just the reality, right? If you're not speeding.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. The thing for me that sticks out too is, we all have those moments where we're a little late for something and maybe go a little faster than we should. And we've probably all been given a speeding ticket on some highway somewhere.
Absolutely.
But there's something sacred about a school zone, right? We've all had kids. We've all had, especially when they're young and they're kindergarten kids and they're walking into school. I don't want anybody to be going more than 2 kilometers an hour around that school.
No.
And if there's any kind of tools that help make sure that's the case, whether it be speed bumps, crosswalks, or speed cameras, it seems crazy that you would change that. Everybody wants safety, and because the reality is there have been those rare tragic cases where a kid is killed around a school, and it's because of a speeding driver who's not paying attention or for whatever reason. So to me, if it works that way, it's hard to argue that. I mean, I understand the government's going to argue a different way, and they have a different feeling on this. But if it's about protecting kids around schools, who's going to argue with that?
There is no argument.
There you go.
Okay, before we go, a couple of quick points. The legislature began sitting again today. Interesting to watch Minister Piccini just getting grilled over the Skills Development Fund, particularly by Marit Stiles and Chris Scott. Nowhere to be seen. Yes, I saw a photo of his empty chair, his new chair in the legislature, because he's been bumped to the back row, I believe. Is that how it works? If you're an independent MPP, you're in the back row. The back in the corner. The back in the corner, yeah. And he was not there as of this morning. We'll see if he shows up throughout the day. And as we talked about on the podcast, he's not obligated to go there. He's not required. No, it's kind of like, your employer are the constituents. And if he sticks around and doesn't ever want to go back to the legislature, the ultimate verdict will be come election day if he's reelected. But that story is there's still a lot more to unfold on that. And he's for the record, he's told the public that he's on a quote short leave. And is going to come back and continue to do what he said is his dream job, represent the people of Sault Ste. Marie. So we shall see, Scott. We shall see. Time will tell. All right, that's it for us tonight. An important ball game to be watched by this country. And the three of us. Tonight's show, as always, produced by Derek Turner. For Michael Friscolanti, our editor-in-chief here at Village Media, I'm Scott Sexsmith. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow night at 7 right here on Closer Look.
Frisco and Scott's Wardrobe provided in part by Moores, Sault Ste. Marie.